You asked me earlier why the domain and other space civilizations do not land on Earth or make their presence known. Land on Earth? Do you think we are crazy or want to be crazy? It takes a very brave ISBE to come down through the atmosphere and land on Earth because this is a prison planet with a very uncontrolled psychotic population, and no ISBE is entirely proof against the risk of entrapment, as with the members of the Domain Expeditionary Force who were captured in the Himalayas 8,200 years ago. No one knows what ISBEs on Earth are going to do. We are not scheduled to invest the resources of the domain to take control of all the space surrounding the area at this time. This will occur in the not-too-distant future, about 5,000 Earth years, according to the time schedule of the domain. At this time, we do not prevent transports from other planetary systems or galaxies from continuing to drop ISBEs into the Amnesia Force Screen area. Eventually, this will change. In addition, Earth inherently is a highly unstable planet. It is not suitable for settlement or permanent habitation for any sustainable civilization. This is part of the reason why it is being used as a prison planet. No one else would seriously consider living here for a variety of simple and compelling reasons. 1. The continental landmasses of Earth are floating on a sea of molten lava beneath the surface, which causes the landmasses to crack, crumble, and drift continually. 2. Because of the liquid nature of the core, the planet is largely volcanic and subject to earthquakes and volcanic explosions. 3. The magnetic poles of the planet shift radically about once every 20,000 years. This causes a greater or lesser degree of devastation as a result of tidal waves and climate changes. 4. Earth is very distant from the center of the galaxy and from any other significant galactic civilization. This isolation makes it unsuitable for use except as a pit stop or jumping off point along the way between galaxies. The Moon and asteroids are far more suitable for this purpose because they do not have any significant gravity. 5. Earth is a heavy gravity planet with heavy metallic soil and a dense atmosphere. This makes it treacherous for navigational purposes. The fact that I am in this room as a result of an in-flight accident, in spite of the technology of my craft and my extensive expertise as a pilot, are proof of these facts. 6. There are approximately 60 billion Earth-like Sun-type 12 Class 7 planets in the Milky Way galaxy alone, not to mention the vast expanses of the domain and the territories we claim in the future. It is difficult to stretch our resources to do much more than a periodic reconnaissance of Earth, especially when there are no immediate advantages to invest resources here. On Earth, most beings are not aware that they are ISBEs, or that there are spirits of any kind. Many other beings are aware of this, but nearly everyone has very limited understanding of themselves as an ISBE. One of the reasons for this is that ISBEs have been waging war against each other since the beginning of time. The purpose of these wars has always been to establish domination by one ISBE or group of ISBEs over another. Since an ISBE cannot be killed, the objective has been to capture and immobilize ISBEs. This has been done in a nearly unlimited variety of ways. The most basic method to capture and immobilize an ISBE is through the use of various kinds of traps. ISBE traps have been made and put in place by many invading societies, such as the one that established the old empire beginning about 64 trillion years ago. Traps are often set up in the territory of the ISBEs being attacked. Usually a trap is set up with the electronic wave of beauty to attract the interest and attention of the ISBE. When the ISBE moves toward the source of the aesthetic wave, such as a beautiful building or beautiful music, the trap is activated by the energy put out by the ISBE. One of the most common trap mechanisms uses the ISBE's own thought energy output when the ISBE tries to attack or fight back against the trap. The trap is activated and energized by the ISBE's own thought energy. The harder the ISBE fights against the trap, the more it pulls the ISBE toward it and keeps them stuck in the trap. Throughout the entire history of this physical universe, vast areas of space have been taken over and colonized by ISBE societies who invade and take over new areas of space in this fashion. In the past, these invasions have always shared common elements. 1. the overwhelming use of force of arms, usually with nuclear or electronic weapons. 2. Mind control of the ISBEs in the invaded area through the use of electroshock, drugs, hypnosis, erasure of memory, and the implantation of false memory or false information intended to subjugate and enslave the local ISBE population. 3. Takeover of natural resources by the invading ISBEs. 4. Political, economic, and social slavery of the local population. These activities continue in present time. All of the ISBEs on Earth have been members of one or more of these activities in the past, both as an invader or as part of the population being invaded. There are no saints in this universe. Very few have avoided or been exempted from warfare between ISBEs. ISBEs on Earth are still the victims of this activity at this very moment. The between lives amnesia administered to ISBEs is one of the mechanisms of an elaborate system of old world ISBE traps that prevent an ISBE from escaping. This operation is managed by an illicit renegade secret police force of the old empire using false provocation operations to disguise their activities in order to prevent detection by their own government, the domain, and by the victims of their activities. They are mind control methods developed by government psychiatrists. Earth is a ghetto planet. It is the result of an intergalactic holocaust. ISBEs have been sentenced to Earth either because 1. They are too viciously insane or perverse to function as part of any civilization, no matter how degraded or corrupt. 2. Or they may be a revolutionary threat to the social, economic, and political caste system that has been so carefully built and brutally enforced in the old empire. Biological bodies are specifically designed as the lowest order of the entity of the old empire caste system. When an ISBE is sent to Earth and then tricked or coerced into operating in a biological body, they are actually in a prison inside a prison. 3. In an effort to permanently and irreversibly rid the old empire of such untouchables, the external identity, memory, and abilities of every ISBE is forcefully erased. This final solution was conceived and carried out by the psychopathic criminals who are controlled by the old empire. The mass extermination of untouchables in prison camps created by Germany during World War II were recently revealed. Likewise, the ISBEs of Earth are the victims of spiritual eradication and eternal slavery inside frail biological bodies inspired by the same kind of craven hatred in the old empire. The kind and creative inmates of Earth are continuously tortured by butchers and lunatics who are controlled by the old empire prison operators. The so-called civilizations of Earth, far from the age of useless pyramids to the age of nuclear holocaust, have been a colossal waste of natural resources, a perverted use of intelligence, and an overt oppression of the spiritual essence of every single ISBE on the planet. If the domain sent ships to every corner of the universe in search of hell, their quest could end on Earth. What greater brutality can be inflicted on anyone than to erase the spiritual awareness, identity, ability, and memory that is in the essence of oneself? The domain has as yet been unable to rescue the 3,000 ISBEs of the Expeditionary Force Battalion either. They are forced to inhabit biological bodies on Earth. We have been able to recognize and track most of them for the past 8,000 years. However, our attempts to communicate with them are usually futile, as they are unable to remember their true identity. The majority of lost members of the domain force have followed the general progression of Western civilization from India into the Middle East, then to Chaldea and Babylon, into Egypt, through Archaea, Greece, Rome, into Europe, to the Western Hemisphere, and then around the world. The members of the Lost Battalion and many other ISBEs on Earth could be valuable citizens of the domain, not including those who are vicious criminals or perverts. Unfortunately, there has been no workable method conceived to emancipate the ISBEs from Earth. Therefore, as a matter of common logic as well as the official policy of the domain, it is safer and more sensible to avoid contact with the ISBE population of Earth until such time as the proper resources can be allocated to locate and destroy the old empire force screen and amnesia machinery and develop a therapy to restore the memory of an ISBE.